Hi, welcome. In this video, I'd like to again, stay on the theme of control and how control manifests through this picture that we lean on um, to represent change. And again, I talk about the problem in the dog training world with incentivizing the dog using treats and certain things which are just blatant, kind of common sense stuff. When you see that, you say, "Wow, that's like bribery almost." But again, what it is, it's understanding how everything filters through relationally, and the problems through that. When you incentivize the dogs can continue to hold control even as they're going through the motions, and the motives can be completely sideways. But going further than that, okay, in the journey of relational change, in the context of resolving these control issues, is to really consider the issue of how you will interact certain ways with the dog, to again lean on a picture and not even really realizing how these control issues will manifest, how they connect certain ways, and can really interfere or take or extend the journey way out in such a way that you're actually dealing with an issue of stinking thinking. And I'll explain here in a second. But basically, the issue of control itself becomes a incentive. Okay, just understand, a motivator. The fact the dog is in control because the dog has already established control in the relationship. The dog has already gained ground. And therefore, everything becomes contaminated as a result. Certain things. So when you incentivize, so here's an example. For example, some people will say, well, because again, we're, oftentimes we think in a reward-based type of framework where we will incorporate certain things such as giving the dog some free time, ball play, even the dog's daily feeding. Okay, how that ties in within this framework of control becomes problematic. Okay, when it comes to establishing relational change, with resolving these control issues. Because what happens is, because again, the dog has control, they start to link certain things in, saying, well, I'm in control of this, that, the other thing, and of course I'll do A, B, and C. Okay, so the A, B, and C part is you incorporating certain things into your structure, into your daily routine, that for you represents, as the dog responds, good things are happening, and you're deceived again, okay? Because the dog will say, oh yeah, I'll do this, this, and this to get my food, okay? Or I'll do this, this, and this to get to that area where the other dog is at. Or, I mean, you can just, put whatever you want in that equation. But the problem is what needs to happen is you need to incorporate hard breaks or stops where the mind completely is in a place where the dog is not connecting that way. Okay, so you really have to be intentional. Just understand, be really intentional with understanding how these control issues will play out and interfere in your journey. So as you go through your rituals and routines and all these different type of things, just understand these control issues, they become entrenched, and then they will connect on certain things that for you you may not be thinking that way, but it's important to understand the dog's thinking that way. And how you can tell is, if you want to put things to the test, is when you start to put another expectation on. So, for example, if you change up the routine somehow that for the dog that interferes in the dog's ability to gain control through that sequence, through A, B, and C, you'll see challenge take hold. Okay, that's an important thing to understand. If you put it to the test, now the expectation will still be reasonable. But what it does is it changes up and exposes the cards. So again, this can happen even through, that's why I tell people that are moving really fast on the walk and just flying through it. The dog and what happens is the dog starts to gain control through just through that routine itself, and then whatever attaches to that will represent the dog gaining fulfillment that way. And so the change up a routine is to slow the dog down, add downs onto it, and you'll see the dog start to flip out. Okay, start to resist, and then it's like, what's going on here? Well, it's because that interaction and how that played out to the dog was part of stinking thinking, represented the dog gaining access. But in your mind, it can look pretty good, even if you're moving certain ways, and that's a deception. Just understand that's the deception of appearances. of understanding the depth of the dog's mind, how dogs will work the angles, will establish certain things and connect things certain ways relationally, which really will cause us to think one thing. Things are coming together, and we're on the dog's thinking something else. So again, I would really encourage you to make sure that's not happening. Change up your routine. Make it so the dog is not attaching that way to certain things. Because here's the point: you really want to make sure that the journey you're on is going to be a successful one. It's not going to take. It's going to take less time. The dog is going to take the stress loads off the dog, and it's all about right relationship. But again, I'd really encourage people to think about it. This is the depth of the dog's mind. There's depth to the relationship. It's just like no different. You can apply all my examples into the human world. Be dealing, like, say, with a narcissistic, selfish person. I mean, they can do certain things that totally fool people that are thinking different, because we automatically assume certain things, but we have to put it to the test. And just like with the dog relationship, we got to put that picture to the test. Especially once a dog has a level of control, just understand that you got stinking thinking going on, and then you attach certain incentives into that picture, even during your daily routine. That dog could actually be, thinking different, and you could have the dog reacting, responding certain ways to make you assume that things are moving along pretty well, and they're not at all, not anywhere at the level that you think, because the dog is attaching certain things within the parameters of control. The dog knows you have a level of control. Okay, so they will respond certain ways, but they think that they're, all that, so to speak, and that they have a certain level of control in the relationship, and you're just, not moving forward the way that you will want to. So just really encourage you to put stop gaps in there. Make sure you change up your routine. Make sure you disengage that way, and really have the dog, and even incorporate, even for the feeding times, lots of downs, get the dog to wait. Impulse control, turn the other way, do certain things and mix it up. Again, keep it in the parameters of what's reasonable, but again, when you always look for the level of challenge, how the dog's responding to that, to know. And once you know, that's fine. You can just move forward and know that, okay, this is cleaning up. I know that I don't have a problem, but you need to put it to the test. Just like a litmus test, you have to test the dog's mind to truly know, where the cards are at. So anyway, thanks for watching.